You're either going to watch this whole video and feel like someone finally put your soul into words, or you're going to click away in 30 seconds. Because deep down, you'll know. You're not real. This isn't for the loud ones, the fake tough guys, or the wannabe lone wolves. This is for the ones who move in silence and shake the world anyway. Still here? Good. Let's begin. Oh, and by the way, I've got something very special for you. Sigma's Black Book of Untouchable Power. It's an ebook that contains the forbidden secret knowledge that will turn you into the man others fear and respect. Warning, this will be deleted soon. The elite don't want you to see this. Grab it in the description section or pinned comment below. 1. They talk about being Sigma all the time. Here's the dead giveaway. If someone can't shut up about being a Sigma male, chances are they're not one. Real Sigma males don't need to declare it. We live it. Quiet confidence doesn't crave validation. But the pretenders? They're loud. They post quotes about being misunderstood, share memes about walking alone, and tag every move they make with Sigma energy. It's performance, not personality. True Sigma males aren't trying to prove they're different. They just are. You won't hear them rambling about, "I'm not like other guys," because that line itself reeks of desperation. And desperation isn't Sigma. It's approval-seeking disguised as rebellion. Sigma males are hard to define because they don't fit the mold. They're not antisocial. They're selectively social. They're not cold. They're composed. And most importantly, they're self-contained. If someone constantly has to tell you they're mysterious, alpha, or stoic, they're none of those things. Mystery doesn't talk. It moves. 2. They rebel against authority just to look cool. Some guys mistake being a Sigma for being a rebel without a cause. But hear this. Sigma males don't resist authority just for attention. They resist stupidity. There's a big difference between being independent and being a contrarian with a chip on your shoulder. The faker Sigma male types will argue with every boss, criticize every leader, and claim, "I don't follow rules." But not because they've outgrown the system. It's because they want to be seen as untamable. Meanwhile, real Sigmas walk out of systems quietly and usually with a plan. They don't burn bridges to feel powerful. They build tunnels underneath the noise. True Sigma males don't need to prove their independence in public. They prove it in how they live, free, focused, and unavailable for foolishness. If someone's entire identity is just, "I don't listen to anyone," you're not looking at a Sigma. You're looking at a boy trying to get attention by playing adult. 3. They need female validation to feel masculine. Let's be real. Sigma males don't shapeshift for women. They don't flex to impress. They don't pretend to be aloof just to seem interesting. And they definitely don't post thirst traps labeled Sigma energy. But the fakes, they crave female attention. They act mysterious not to be mysterious, but because they think it's an attractor. Here's the thing. Sigma masculinity isn't performed. It's embodied. It's not cold. It's self-governed. And women sense that. They're drawn to it without understanding why. The moment a man starts crafting his identity around how he thinks women will react, he's already lost his center. True Sigmas don't need permission to be who they are, and they damn sure don't need Instagram approval to validate their manhood. 4. They hide behind stoicism to avoid emotional growth. Being calm isn't the same as being cold, but here's where the fake Sigmas mess up. They confuse emotional avoidance with emotional strength. They'll say things like, "I don't feel anything," or "feelings are weakness." But that's not strength, that's a wall. Real Sigma males feel deeply. They just don't let those emotions run them. They process them internally. They use pain as fuel. They sit with their shadows, not shove them under the rug. Pretenders avoid intimacy, vulnerability, and growth, all while claiming it's because they're too evolved for drama. But avoiding your inner world doesn't make you powerful. It makes you hollow. A true Sigma man doesn't fear emotional intelligence. He respects it, because he knows the strongest men are the ones who mastered their minds, not escaped them. 5. They copy other men who call themselves Sigmas. The fakest thing you'll see? A guy building his entire identity off someone else's idea of what being a Sigma looks like. He'll mimic the way some YouTuber talks. Try to walk like that TikTok Sigma guy. Say the same things Andrew Tate or Jordan Peterson said, word for word. That's not Sigma, that's imitation. Sigma males aren't copy-paste versions of each other. They're defined by originality, by not needing a template, by figuring life out through solitude and trial by fire, not by binging personality content and parroting phrases. The moment someone needs a Sigma checklist, they're not living it. They're studying it like it's a character they're auditioning for. True Sigma males don't audition. They exist, authentic, quietly confident, and absolutely uninterested in becoming someone else's carbon copy. 6. They confuse isolation with independence. Listen closely. Being alone and being independent are not the same thing. A fake Sigma will cut everyone off, claim nobody understands me, and call it strength. But that's not independence. That's emotional immaturity dressed in a leather jacket. True Sigma males choose solitude, but they're not afraid of people. They're not hiding, they're growing. There's a difference between using time alone to reflect and using it to sulk. Real Sigmas can walk into any room and hold their own, not because they need to dominate, but because they've trained their minds in silence. Fakes isolate because they're overwhelmed. Sigmas isolate because they're focused. So if a guy says, "I don't hang with people because I'm Sigma," but he's secretly scrolling in the dark, comparing himself to everyone, that's not Sigma, that's avoidance. Real independence is choosing yourself when it's easier to blend in. It's walking alone because the noise outside doesn't match the clarity inside. 7. They're obsessed with power, not purpose. Here's the sneaky one. A lot of pretenders chase power thinking that's what makes them dominant or Sigma. They want control, influence, status. But here's the twist. True Sigmas aren't chasing power. They're chasing freedom. They're purpose-driven. They'd rather master themselves than manipulate others. The fake ones? They measure success by how many followers they have or how many women want them. Their idea of power is rooted in externals. But Sigmas don't perform for the crowd. They play their own game, quietly, strategically, without needing applause. That's the power most people can't see, and that's exactly why it's real. So if someone talks nonstop about dominance, status, or being better than alphas, chances are they're just a beta in a cooler outfit. 8. They avoid accountability and call it freedom. A fake Sigma runs from responsibility and calls it living free. They bounce from job to job. Ghost relationships? Avoid difficult conversations, all while acting like they're above it all. But freedom without accountability isn't strength, it's chaos. Real Sigmas? They take full responsibility for their lives. They don't blame their past. They don't make excuses. They own their wins and their failures with the same steady breath. You'll never catch a real Sigma man whining about how no one gave him a chance. He makes his own chances. Freedom without self-leadership is just running in circles. And the pretenders? They're usually sprinting, but going nowhere. 9. They use silence as a weapon, not a tool. You've probably seen it. The guy who goes quiet in a conversation just to seem intimidating. He broods in the corner, crosses his arms, narrows his eyes, like he's in some Netflix noir drama. But that's not Sigma energy. That's high school cafeteria behavior. True Sigma silence isn't for others. It's for self-mastery. It's not about creating tension. It's about inner peace. The faker uses silence to manipulate. The real Sigma uses silence to observe, reflect, and remain unbothered. There's a reason why the quietest guy in the room is often the smartest, but not if he's quiet because he has nothing real to say. If someone is using silence as a costume, not a compass, they're performing, not living. 10. They think being emotionless is the goal. Here's a harsh truth. If a man tries to numb himself from all emotion, he's not strong, he's broken. Pretend Sigmas think shutting down emotionally makes them invincible. But emotionless isn't invulnerable, it's disconnected. True Sigma males feel everything, but they don't let emotion override logic. They're in touch with their instincts, their purpose, their intuition. All of it. They don't push people away to feel strong. They choose solitude and they choose connection. Wisely. Fakes fear vulnerability. Sigmas understand that vulnerability, when chosen wisely, is power in disguise. There's nothing strong about pretending you don't feel. That's not strength, that's numbness. And numbness isn't the Sigma path. It's just a detour to nowhere. 11. They live online more than they live in real life. The loudest fake Sigmas, they're usually the ones most active online, posting, commenting, showing off their lone wolf lifestyle with dramatic music and black and white filters. But behind the screen, their lives are empty. Sigma energy isn't cultivated through likes and algorithms. It's forged in the fire of real-world experience. It's waking up at 5 a.m. to work on your vision. It's going months without attention and still staying disciplined. It's saying no to trends because you're too busy building what matters. The more someone flexes their Sigma mindset online, the more you should ask, why do they need to prove it? Because real Sigma males aren't busy explaining themselves. They're too busy living. 12. They care more about labels than legacy. Finally, this one cuts deep. Pretenders are obsessed with labels, Sigma, Alpha, Beta, Omega, like it's a video game character sheet. They argue in comment sections. They obsess over categories. They spend more time talking about the hierarchy than transcending it. But true Sigmas, they don't care about labels. They care about impact, legacy, freedom, inner peace. They're not trying to fit into a category. They're trying to create a life that no one else could replicate. The label Sigma is just a reflection, not a destination. It describes them, but it doesn't define them. So if someone's entire identity is wrapped in a label, they're still seeking permission. Sigmas don't ask for permission, they simply become. If you made it this far, you're not just curious about Sigma energy. You feel it in your bones, don't you? Maybe you've been misunderstood. Maybe people called you too quiet, too intense, or hard to read. But deep down, you know you're not like the rest. And that's not a flaw, it's your edge. Now here's the deal. If you saw yourself in even one of these signs, hit that subscribe button. Not because everyone's doing it, but because this channel speaks your language. No fluff, no filters, just truth. And in the comments, drop the word REAL. That's how I'll know you're not pretending. You're the real deal. Let the others chase trends. You're building a legacy. Until next time, stay silent, stay sharp, stay Sigma.